Hello and welcome back to Destination Video Music, August 1st, 1981, the podcast. I go by the name of Ford Lee and I am your host for this wonderful destination. Thanks for joining me. Now, I did release episode 0 the other couple weeks ago, and episode 0 was more of like a soft launch, but I wanted episode point 5 to be just a little unscripted look as to what the podcast is going to be about, why it's so important to me, and why I also think it's important in the general perspective of music, and also just to get a little bit more information about me, your host. So first, I just want to go into the background as to why this means so much to me. So I am old enough to remember music videos still being played on MTV, but I am young enough to have missed all of the great videos from the 80s. I didn't get cable until the 90s, and unfortunately I missed all of it. But thank God for YouTube and all of those other things. But my passion for music has been since I was very little. I'm very fortunate to have had parents and family that always had the radio on. Every party, every trip in the car, the radio was on, music was on. And that really shaped my influence and all the different types of music that I listen to. But I've always gravitated towards 80s and 90s music, but 80s music especially. Now, one pivotal moment for me was in 2001. It was MTV's 20th anniversary, and they had released a book called, I believe it was called MTV 20, The Unauthorized Biography. And there was a lot of information about the past, about those 20 years, about the VJs, about the start of MTV, and everything for a 20-year span. But one thing that I really liked at the back of the book was there was a list of the first videos ever played on MTV on its first day. And I didn't think much of it back then in 2001, and it wasn't until 2009 or 2010 when I was going through all the books in my bookcase and I saw the MTV book and I pulled it out, I started reading it, and when I got to the end, I saw that list again of the first videos that were played. And I'm looking through the list and I said to myself, gee, I don't know about half of these artists and I don't know about half of these songs. And obviously I knew REO Speedwagon, Rod Stewart, Pat Benatar, The Who. I even knew the Buggles. And of course, Video Killed the Radio Star. But there were so many artists listed that I had never heard of. I'd never heard of Robin Lane and the Chartbusters. I had never heard of Ultravox or The Silencers or PhD. And I said, well, obviously, if it made it onto MTV, it was pretty important. So I wanted to check it out. And from that point forward, I have been nonstop. For almost 20 years, I have been researching all the different types of videos and artists and bands that have played on MTV throughout the 80s. I really do have a focus between 1981 and 1985 because I believe that those are the golden years of MTV. I've built playlists with 1981 through 1983, and I would love to share those at some point. But so that's where the whole passion comes from. Now, fast forward to about a year ago, I was going through footage of old videos and I was going through some new footage that I saw on the Internet Archive. And somebody had posted footage from August of 1981 and November of 1981, thankfully. But it made me think to myself, well, I haven't really seen a lot of footage or read a lot about the first few months of MTV. Obviously, there have been some books that have been written, the perspectives from the VJs and things you read about the launch. But other than that, there's not really a lot. On YouTube, there's a lot of footage of the launch on August 1st, but I wanted to dig a little deeper into people's experiences. I wanted to know, where were you when you got your MTV? What was it like having MTV in the first few months? I've read a few comments on Reddit, I've read a few comments on YouTube, but other than that, that's been it. So this podcast is specifically for 1981. So that's why I say in my tagline, if you or anyone you know witnessed MTV on its launch on August 1st, 1981, or at least acquired MTV within its first few months of airing, please let me know because I would like to discuss it more with you and really geek out, because that's what I do best with this topic is geeking out. So this interview process, the podcast process, is basically just going to be an informal interview type conversation, but it's going to be very relaxed and it's going to be through Zoom and I'm going to post it to YouTube, the audio only. And I want to cover a bunch of different topics. And of course, whenever you talk with somebody, new conversations are going to spring up. But some of the topics I want to pretty much start with everyone is, did you have MTV in the launch? Or if not, when did you get your MTV? When did you hear about MTV? Was it advertised on cable? When did you get cable? What was the process of getting cable like? What were some artists or videos that stood out to you from the first few months of viewing? Did you watch MTV a lot? Did you talk about it with family and friends? What are some artists that you became a fan that you had never heard of before? So these are the things I want to cover. These are the things I want to geek out about with all of you. So please drop me a line. Again, if you or anyone you know witnessed the launch of MTV on August 1st, 1981, or you at least acquired MTV within its first few months, but no later than 1981, please drop me a line. You know how to contact me. And I look forward to taking this journey with you and talking more with you and meeting all of you. And I hope that you find this as thrilling as I do. So that concludes episode .5 and more to come. Stay tuned.